Hello, I'm Emma, and this practice is for lower back pain. We're going to be reconnecting with all the parts of the lower back and letting go of tension in the spine. Let's get started. So go ahead and get started lying on your back. You can have the knees bent with the feet flat on the ground. Or if you have a bolster or a pillow or even a rolled up blanket, you can slide it underneath the knees for more support if you'd like to have the legs out long. And just notice how it feels to lay like this. Check in and see if you're having any pain or if you feel like there's holding in your body. Just take a few moments to shift around, maybe lift up the shoulders, shift the hips. Working on finding a comfortable place to rest. And you can close your eyes or just soften your gaze up on the ceiling. And then bring awareness to your tailbone, the very bottom of your back. Think about your tailbone pointing straight down towards your heels. And we're going to work on lengthening the tailbone down towards the heels, so energetically the tailbone reaches down towards the feet. And there's a very little bit of engagement in the lower belly and the core. So the hip points are tucking in towards the belly, and the tailbone lengthens down, and this should help your lower back press down against the mat. And see if you can make your hips, your tailbone, your lower back really, really heavy here. We're going to be moving through this practice, letting go of pain and tension in the back, the spine. We're also going to be looking at activating the core, because often when we're having back pain, it's because the muscles in the back are doing the work of the muscles in the core. Just notice your breath, how it's landing in your body right now. If you're holding any tension along your spine, in your shoulders, your chest, your neck, or your face, just take a big breath into your belly, into your lower back, fill everything up. And then use your exhale to let go of tension. See if you can invite the backs of the shoulders, the back of the head to relax and sink down into your mat. Just coming into rest before we start moving. And this practice is meant to help relieve back pain. So if you find yourself feeling pain, if anything feels like it is making things worse, don't do it. Take care of your body during this practice. If something doesn't feel good in your body, don't do it. We're looking to feel better, not worse. Awesome. And then from here, you're going to lift the right foot and draw the right thigh up towards the body. You can take the hands and grab either the back of the thigh or the front of the shin. Help draw that thigh across the belly. Should feel like a good stretch through the bottom of the hip and the lower back, maybe even down in the groin. Then on an inhale, nice and slow with control, we're going to slide the left heel down towards the bottom of your mat. So we're straightening out the left leg nice and slow until it comes to rest on the ground. This should feel like a nice stretch through the fronts of the hips, the lower back, the very bottom of your pelvis. See if you can send breath down into the bottom of your pelvis. So the inhales move down into the pelvic floor and help expand. And the exhales lift up over to the bottom of the belly, pressing breath over to the lungs. Awesome. Take one more breath here like this. On the exhale, nice and slow, slide the heel back up, bend the left knee, foot comes onto the ground first. And then very gently release the right leg down. Switch sides, hug the left knee in. Find that connection where the front of the hip meets the thigh. Doesn't matter how far it goes. And then on an inhale, slide the right leg out, straighten it out nice and slow. Feel like a good stretch. If this is way too intense for you to have the thighs hugging in, you can just keep the left foot planted on the ground. Whatever feels better in your body here. Pulling breath down into the lower belly, into the lower back, expanding the sides of the hips as you breathe in. And then pressing the breath up and out, all the way out through the nose. Just take one more breath like this. And then exhale, let it go. Bend the right knee, slide it up, plant the foot. And then release the left leg down, so both knees are bent, feet on the ground. Give the knees a little swing side to side, little lower back release. Feel pressure through the tailbone and the SI joints right at the very bottom of your back, where it meets your hips. Awesome. And then lift the feet, hug both knees into the chest. You can grab the fronts of the shins or the backs of the thighs, whatever feels better. Not forcing anything, not pulling with the arms, but just interlacing the fingers and allowing the weight of your arms to help hug the thighs across the belly. And you can take any movement here that feels good. You might just want to stay nice and still, work on spreading apart the vertebrae in the lower spine. Or if you want a little more, you can rock a little side to side. Or maybe draw circles with the knees. Imagine you're drawing circles on the ceiling. Taking the knees one way, and then the other. Reverse your circle if that's what you're doing. Nice little massage in the lower body. This should feel really good. Great, then come back to stillness. And options here, so you can start to rock and roll through the spine. Or if that doesn't feel good, if you're like, no way, you can just take your time rolling onto your side and then making your way up to a seated position. So whatever you decide to do, make your way up, come into a seated position. And when you get there, slide the hips out from underneath you. You can have the legs crossed if that feels good, or you can have them bent with the feet on the ground. Whatever feels better in your body. Working on grounding down evenly through the very bottoms of your pelvis, your sitting bones, the bottoms of your hips. See if you can pull energy from the top of your body down to those points on the ground that are connected. Draw energy up through the front of the body, lift the heart, lift the crown of the head. Draw energy down the back of the body, engage the muscles between the shoulder blades, tailbone points straight down. See if you can align the body so the head is stacking over the heart and the opening of the rib cage is stacking over the opening of the pelvis. So there's a nice long line of energy through the center of the body. And then together we'll take a big breath in through the nose. As you exhale, round the shoulders forward, drop the head down. Find cat stretch. I almost said cow. Cat stretch here, a seated cat. It should feel like a nice opening through the back of the body, through the spine. Great, then inhale to roll up, nice and slow. Draw the shoulder blades together, maybe lift the gaze up towards the ceiling. Cow stretch. Nice opening through the throat, through the chest and the belly. And then we're going to find a little flow here. So on your exhale, bring the gaze down, tuck the chin into the chest, round the heart forward, hug the lower ribs in. Cat. And then inhale to lift the rib cage, lift the heart, draw the shoulder blades together and point the nose up towards the ceiling. Cow. Just a couple more like that. Move nice and slow with your own breath. See if you can move one vertebrae at a time. See if you can feel if there's any restrictions if you're in your spine. If you notice that there's places that aren't really moving, places that feel stagnant or stuck. See if you can slow it down and get those places unstuck. Awesome. Take one more in each direction. Fill up. Breathe really deep. And then come back up to a nice tall seat. Find that alignment through the spine. And then you can either slide your legs to one side or plant your palms in front of you. Make your way to tabletop. Setting up so that the hands are underneath the shoulders and the knees are underneath the hips. Press down through the tops of the feet. And same thing here, we're going to think about lengthening the tailbone down towards the toes, towards the back edge of your mat. And then following that lengthening energy through the lower spine, through the middle back, to the shoulder blades, the back of the neck, all the way to the crown of the head. So see if there's any little adjustments that you can make. I recommend that if you have a mirror or if you can set up your phone and take a video, that's really helpful for form here. I know when I watch this video, I'm going to see how rounded and unstraight my spine is. So just work on finding that alignment. Pressing down through both knees evenly, both feet, and tipping the points of the hips up into the belly, hugging the lower ribs down, and sending the gaze forward just ahead of the fingertips, nose point straight down. Spread out through all 10 knuckles. And then inhale to find cow stretch. Lift the tailbone, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round through for cat. Arching through the back body, dropping the gaze between the knees. Inhale, find cow stretch. And then exhale to cat. Same thing here, a couple of rounds with your own breath. Just notice how it feels different when you're on all fours versus sitting up. A little more work in the core. See if you can start the movement from your belly, from your tailbone. So starting with the hips and then moving through the lower back, the lower rib cage, the chest, the neck and the head. Rolling through, creating more space in the spine. Awesome. Take one more in each direction. Even it out. Then find your neutral table. Bring the big toes together to touch. Spread the knees wide. And then send the hips back. See if you can connect the hips with the heels first. And then start to lower the rib cage, lower the heart down. Walk the fingertips out long in front of you. Get the heart as low as you can. And then drop the forehead down. Child's pose. And just tune in, see if there is any holding in your body in this position. If you feel like you can't breathe, you might just take a different version, and instead of dropping the forehead down, dropping the heart down, you might come onto the forearms. You can go ahead and look at the screen if you need to. Onto the forearms, keeping the hips connected, and just let the gaze point straight down, or maybe drop the head down if that feels good in your spine. Wherever you find yourself, see if you can compress your belly and activate your core here. Thinking about hugging the hips up towards the lower rib cage. So they're shortening through the front of the belly, and that presses everything up into the lower back. Breathe up into the back body, into the sides of the rib cage, all the way up between the shoulder blades. And then exhale, let go of any tension you don't need. Awesome. Then lift the forehead up off the mat. And walk your arms, walk your hands over to the left. Just go until you find some resistance through the right side of the body. Doesn't have to be a big movement, and then once you get comfy, you can drop the head back down. This is a little side stretch. See if you can really deepen your breath so that your breath moves into the sides of the body. You grow wider as you breathe in. Awesome. Then lift up the forehead, walk back through to the center, and then over to the other side. Just notice if this side is different. Stay connected. And then once you've found your appropriate edge, drop the forehead down. Feel opening through the rib cage. Using the inhales to spread the ribs apart. And using the exhales to soften through the spine. Awesome. Take one more breath like this. And then lift your forehead up as you exhale. Come back to center. Then press into your hands, shift forward and lower down onto the belly. Nice and slow. Pressing down through the tops of the feet and the pubic bone. Really want to ground down through the fronts of the hips, the fronts of the thighs. So the lower body is really heavy here. Hands underneath the shoulders and the arms hugging in towards the rib cage. Just hover the tip of the nose. This is alligator. So see if you can send breath up into your back body. Using your inhales to stretch your lower back. And using your exhales to let go of tension. If it doesn't feel good in the neck here, if you're getting pain in the neck or you're starting to have a headache, rather than hover the tip of the nose, you can stack the hands in front of you, make a little hand pile, and drop your forehead down for a more restful posture. See if you can deepen your breath so that it moves up into the middle back, into the shoulder blades, so that as you breathe in, you stretch and release your spine. And as you breathe out, you find a little more space in your back body. Awesome. And then we're going to find some movement here. So if you took the little hand pile variation, bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. And then on an inhale, we're going to press down through the lower belly and draw the shoulder blades down towards the hips. Just lifting the chest, little baby cobra as you breathe in. And then exhale to roll the chest back down onto the ground. We're going to find a little flow here and work into it. If you find yourself with pain, come out of it. Take breaks. Don't push it here. Don't do anything that feels painful or feels like it's making your back feel worse. It doesn't matter how high you can go. It doesn't matter how far. It's not really about that. It's just about engaging the muscles and connecting with the body. So take care here. Okay. Inhale to rise up. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Peel the chest up off the ground. And then exhale to roll down. Inhale, lift the back of the head up towards the ceiling. Maybe start to peel the lower ribs up off the mat. And then exhale to roll down. Last one, big breath in. Maybe lift all the way up so the crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. And then exhale to drop it down. Awesome. Then from here, we're going to press into the palms, press into the knees, and rise up, find table. Walk the knees underneath you, and then we're going to transition onto the back. So sitting back on the hips and making your way down onto your back, nice and slow. Same thing here where we started. So with the knees bent, the feet flat on the ground. Pressing the lower back down into the ground. So there's a little activation in the core here. The chest and the shoulders are resting on the ground. We're going to find reclined pigeon. So bringing the outside of the right ankle across the left thigh. And flexing the toes up towards the knee. Really, really important step here. Working on melting that right knee open and down. Trying to bring the knees parallel with one another. If you're already feeling a good stretch here, you can stay like this with the foot planted on the ground. Or if you want a little more on your next exhale, lift the left foot up off the ground and hug the thigh in towards the belly. You can take any movement that feels good here. If you want to do a little bit of rocking side to side or front to back with the hips. Should feel like a good stretch through the glutes, the lower back, maybe even down into the bottoms of the hips. Awesome. Take one more breath like this. And then exhale to release the foot back to the mat if you lifted. Then uncross the leg, drop the foot down, and switch sides. The left foot comes up, ankle crosses over the right thigh. And flex the toes, work on opening that hip, dropping that knee out and down. Trying to bring it parallel. Same thing here, if this side is good like this, if you're already feeling a pretty intense stretch, you can stay like this, working on sending breath down into the belly. Or if you want a little more, you can lift the right foot and hug the thigh up towards the belly, up towards the chest. And then same thing here, an invitation to find movement if that feels good. Sending breath down into the left hip, opening it up. Awesome. Take one more breath here. And then use your exhale to drop the foot back down to the mat and uncross the legs. Then bring the arms out in line with the shoulders like a T. Lift the feet and bring the knees stacked over the hips. We're going to find a twist here. So flattening out the lower back first. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, nice and slow with control, let the knees fall over to the left. Being mindful of pain here. If you have any pain or if you land and you feel like you can't relax or you can't breathe, come back to center and twist again. Option to let the knees fall higher up towards the arm or lower down towards the bottom of your mat. Another variation is to take a block or a pillow in between the knees to help support the back if it's not super comfy, and keep the block or the pillow between your knees while you twist to give you some more support. Breathe really deep, lengthening the tailbone down towards the bottom of your mat. Working on grounding that right shoulder. Don't worry about if it lifts up. Just working on letting the back of it be nice and heavy. Beautiful. Then bring the right leg back up to center first, followed by the left. Oh, both my hips cracked. I wonder if that's gonna be picked up by the microphone. Okay. Big breath in, fill everything up. And then exhale, drop them over towards the right. And just see if this side is different. Find those areas of restriction through the back, through the sides of the body. And just send breath there. Using the inhales to meet that resistance. And using the exhales to let it go. One more breath like this. And then on the exhale, bring the top leg up first, then the other one. Give yourself a big hug, squeeze the thighs into the chest. If it feels good, maybe lift the nose up towards the knees, big squeeze. And then on the exhale, drop the feet down, drop the head down. Reach the arms up overhead, inhale and take a big full body stretch. And exhale to let it go. Coming into our meditation now. You can have the legs out long. You might have a pillow underneath the knees, or the option to end the way we started with the knees bent and the feet flat on the ground. Whichever position feels like you can relax and let your body rest. The arms can be down by the sides with the palms facing up. Or you might bring the arms up in line with the shoulders and bend the elbows, capped as arms. If you want to open up the chest and the shoulders a little bit more before we wrap up this practice. You can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Bring your attention back into your body. Allow your legs to fall apart, your feet to fall apart, or just soften the muscles in the thighs and the hips. And allow the back body to get really, really heavy. The tailbone and And then each vertebrae in the back, starting at the very bottom of your spine. And then moving up through to the middle back. The space between the shoulder blades. The base of the neck. All the way up to where your neck meets your head. See if you can move your breath into the back of your body so that as you inhale, your breath presses down against each vertebrae, lengthening the tailbone down towards the feet. And as you exhale, you create a little bit more space in your spine. Just a few breaths like this. Take one more big breath in. And then just open your mouth and let it go. And take any movement that you need to come back into your body. And you can stay laying on your back to close this practice. Or you can make your way up to a seated position, nice and slow. And just notice how you're feeling in your body now after this practice. If your pain levels have changed. And show yourself some gratitude for taking time to connect with your body and to care for yourself in this way. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for new videos every month. And thank you so much for sharing this practice with me. Namaste.